What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I am your host, TJ Zwarich, editor-in-chief of agentsofandom.com, ready to talk about some Bad Batch, ready to talk about some Mandalorian Season 3, and we have a very, very fun draft planned. We're going to be picking some some video game projects that have been turned into movies, series inspired by The Last of Us. And we're also going to be picking some video games we'd like to see adapted into projects as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you stay tuned to the end for that one. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the director of content and editorial over at agentsofandom.com, Garrett Blaney.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Ready to dive in. We got a really fun show today. I'm excited. And in the background, we have our amazing producer, graphic designer, Ruben Rapalda, as well as agent Adam Blevins behind the scenes on production as well, here to rein us in if we get carried away, and also to join us in our draft today. But we're also joined by a very special guest from thedirect.com, Richard Nebens, the returning champ, without a doubt, the most recurring guest we've ever had. How you doing?
Oh man, it's great to be here, man. I love coming on every time with you guys. I mean, you are two of my best friends in the industry, and I'm a huge Agents of Fandom supporter, so just glad to be here.
Well, we're big Rich supporters.
That's true. Yeah, we support the direct, but we extra support Rich. And we were just talking off air. Hopefully, going to be able to see each other on a day here in February. The stars may align for us to be in the same city at the same time. So fingers crossed we can make that happen, because that would be incredible. Make sure you're following the Agents of Fandom on all the socials. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And you can also find all of the shows on the Agents of Fandom podcast network, including Fandom Academy, The Critics, Ticket to Reality, Listen 3000, and of course the Agents of Fandom podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Spoiler warning for episode 4 of season 2 of The Bad Batch, because we are going to dive right in here. It's time for the Agents of Analysis. We're going to talk some Bad Batch, then we're going to rip our way through this Mandalorian trailer, and then it's going to be draft time. Garrett, I want to throw it to you first here. We're both on the same page that we're loving this season so far. What did you think of season 4 of The Bad Batch?
Episode 4 is one of the most fun episodes, I think. It really brings you back to the Phantom Menace, and I think Tech really gets a chance to shine, as well as Omega. And I think there's a lot of really fun things happening in this episode, and I'm sure we'll break it down more, but that's just my initial thoughts.
Rich, how about you? We got some speed coming. We got some racing going. What did you think about the episode?
Yeah, I'm absolutely with Garrett. Episode 1 vibes for sure. Brought us back to like our early days of Star Wars, back when, the first stuff came out when we were alive. And it was just a really fun episode. Like you said, Tech was great. Some of the stuff with Omega and Wrecker was really fun. Sid obviously was a huge part of this episode. I'm looking forward to getting into it. I did a rewatch of the season so far today, leading up to doing the pod with you, and I'm excited to get into it.
It did have the big episode 1 vibes, absolutely. And the other thing that kind of caught my eye from Ep 4 is they got a big ol' allegiance to Sid. A lot of people throughout season 1 and now here into season 2 have warned the Agents of Fandom here. I was just talking about, hey, I got to make sure I remember to plug our store, because I'm wearing the new sweater that came in today. A lot of people are warning the Bad Batch, the Dad Batch, that Sid's been up to no good in the past, and they maybe shouldn't be trusting them. But here they are racing for her freedom. What do you think about their allegiance to Sid, Garrett?
Well, obviously it started out as like a necessity, right? They needed the cash, the jobs, the anonymity that she provided. But as it's moving forward, they're starting to realize that it's not as beneficial of a relationship for them as it is for Sid. And she gets them in a lot of trouble in this episode. However, because of Omega's good heart and just who she is, you know, she saves Sid, and it lets you know that they're kind of sleeping with the devil in order to survive right now. They're the person that they're slumming it with is not, you know, the best person in the galaxy, but they do meet, you know, like Fee this season. So there are other friendships and stuff growing, obviously. But man, I want to talk about the pod racing or the riot racing, because I had noticed we all tried to keep it a little bit spoiler free in those initial thoughts, but we're all referencing, you know, pod racing from episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and that's what this episode brings. This we go back to like racing arenas. It's called riot racing, and it's like droids racing these cool ass little, I don't even know what to call them. We'll call them like robotic go-karts for right now, because that seems like that's the most fun thing that popped into my mind quickly. But it's really fun, and you see Tech the entire time is just analyzing things and trying to understand how it works. And then obviously when their robot gets destroyed and Omega steps in to say, hey, we'll race for Sid, for her life, for her bounty or whatever it is. And then Tech has to come in and race, and there's obviously dangerous paths and paths that like you're more likely. It felt very video game. It felt very fun, which I think is an awesome topic for how the rest of this episode is gonna go. So yeah, for that reason, this episode is one of my favorites of the season, and there are a lot of really good episodes. There's a lot of highs, but this one is just so fun to me because of this aspect. They bring back something it's such a unique part of Star Wars. We don't spend a lot of time with it, but yet it's something that's stuck around, you know, with everyone for all of these years. So it's really awesome to kind of come back to that in a revamped way.
Rich, we're drafting video game projects and video games we'd like to see turned into some projects. What did you think about some pod racing today in the show?
I mean, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Pod racing has been, you know, easily our favorite part of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Probably one of our favorite parts of it. It was one of the things that made episode 1 at least a little bit, you know, savable, salvageable, looking back on it. I mean, I'm sure the prequels have grown on us with age, especially with some of the decisions that were made in the sequel trilogy. But I'm not gonna get into that today, obviously.
Well, and Clone Wars too. Thankfully, Clone Wars does a lot to fill in those gaps and kind of elevate that as well.
Absolutely. All the animated stuff. I mean, this second season of Bad Batch is kind of continuing that trend of awesome animation from Star Wars after the Clone Wars and everything. And no, it just brought us back to what got a lot of us into Star Wars when we were kids. The pod racing stuff with Anakin was a lot of fun, and we got that same kind of vibe here, except, you know, demolition derby kind of pod racing, if you want to call it that. And like you guys said, honestly, that video game vibe, what we're going to be getting into later, it did kind of feel like that like the racing spin-off of Star Wars The Bad Batch. Like, you know how every franchise when we were kids had like a racing spin-off, like it was just, you know, getting cars and race everywhere? That's what this episode kind of felt like to me, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it may not have much in terms of consequences outside of the Sid stuff, but I'm all for it.
Question.
Too much. Okay, there you go.
A question for you guys. Did you guys ever play I believe it was an N64 game, I'm not sure, but there was an episode 1 pod racing game, and it was super fun. And I don't know if you guys played that, but I would be down for them to do like a little, you know, spin-off riot racing Bad Batch video game that's reminiscent of that, because that game slapped.
I've never played that, but remember that arcade game that they had where you had the levers, like where you
that was crazy
when we were kids?
Yeah.
I was good at that whenever I went to an arcade.
I love that.
I never dove into either of those ones specifically. I got into Star Wars kind of like as an adult, honestly. Like, it wasn't that big of a part of my childhood. I watched episode 1 basically right when it came out, I think in theaters. But it never really clicked with me until I started diving into all the animated shows, and that happened as an adult, and that's really where my love came in, and then I rewatched all the movies and enjoyed them even more. And so I didn't play that game. But I have heard from multiple different people that like the Star Wars pod racing ones are among the favorites that they've ever done.
Yeah, they suck, but they're good. You know, it's like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's like hard.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I didn't get into Star Wars until I got into more of my adult years, but the pod racing was one of the things that stuck with me from when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
We're definitely going to have some episodes of the Bad Batch that we go more in depth and pick apart different aspects of it. But this one was more of just some fun, some pod racing like we've outlined. And so I don't think we got to spend too much time on it. If there are some other points you guys want to get in, feel free to get them in here. But hashtag be more like Brandon Moore giving away Twitch subs in the chat. We love Brandon for that. He is the absolute best. So thank you to him. Let's start picking apart this Mandalorian season 3 trailer, because our favorite single mother and his baby is back. Grogu and Mando are back in our lives for season 3, and we see a bunch of different Mandalorians, some throwbacks to the past, not just on in Mando's life, but we get some Order 66 action throughout this. Garrett, I know you've been itching to pick this one apart, so I want to throw it to you first. What did this trailer do for your excitement, and what were some of the parts that made you go, oh?
You know, my hype is through the roof with this trailer, and it's so funny. I spent a lot of time preparing for this episode, which I don't usually do. Adam and I discussed this earlier. Like I usually go into the drafts just like naked, no thought, just pull it out of my ass on the spot. But I was like, you know what? Adam's first draft. He's preparing a lot. I know TJ's very draft minded. Rich is a veteran of these, so I'll put a little bit of preparation into this. Obviously, we got the screeners for Bad Batch, so it's been a little bit since we watched it. So I'm like, all right, I'll rewatch that episode to prep. And you know what I forgot to do was rewatch the Mandalorian trailer. So I don't have any notes on it, so I'm just gonna go off the dome piece here. But wow. That is one of my favorite trailers to come out recently. Like, I was not expecting any Order 66 stuff. That makes me think right off the bat, like, this is something they've been teasing for a while, that Grogu survived Order 66 by some unnamed hero. So I imagine that's going to be revealed in this season. I love that we're going back to Mandalore. All the stuff with Bo-Katan is just really, really, it's got a lot of substance, especially if you've watched Clone Wars, especially if you've watched Rebels. It's just that much more important. And then my biggest surprise probably from the trailer is that we're going back to Coruscant. And I believe this is the most recent in the timeline that we've been to Coruscant. So I'm interested to see kind of what that looks like in the transition to the Empire and how it's changed since the Clone Wars. But yeah, there's a lot to break into from this trailer. So I'll let someone else talk, but that's just my initial thoughts.
Mandalore, Coruscant, Order 66. What stood out for you, Rich?
I mean, I wrote an article on the Coruscant stuff, so that was a lot of fun, kind of going back to that landscape. That was a huge part of the prequel trilogy, and you know, it's been recently seen in other places, obviously a little bit in Obi-Wan, a little bit in Andor, but that was cool getting that history. And kind of going off of what Garrett said, I love that this season kind of feels the most entrenched in the overall Star Wars universe than almost any season of Disney Plus really has outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I mean, obviously that's just bridging Obi-Wan's story between episode 3 and episode 4. But I love how deep into Star Wars lore it seems like we're going into this. I mean, we've got the live action movies. We've got obviously all the stuff from the animated shows with Rebels and Clone Wars. So thankful I've gotten into those over the last year or so. I finally got through everything over the last few months. I'm really
congratulations.
Yeah, I'm really
it's a journey.
But personally, for the Mandalore stuff, I think that's going to be obviously a big part of the season with Bo-Katan coming in. But I mean, seeing all those different Mandalorians, seeing Din Djarin, go back to his roots and try to atone for the removing of the helmet thing, that's going to be a really interesting plot point. And then obviously that money shot at the end of you know, the forces with Beta Yoda Grogu. Can't wait to see how he develops, and especially after seeing him go full on with Mando at the end of Book of Boba Fett, it's going to be a really interesting journey.
Strong boy.
Oh yeah.
It feels like in season 3 they're really going to be like, we've obviously found different ties to different Star Wars lore throughout the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, especially with how season 2 ended, obviously meeting Luke Skywalker face to face. And it's crazy that that's the last episode of The Mandalorian we've gotten. Obviously, we've seen so much of his journey through the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 2.5. Again, I still liked the Book of Boba Fett because I don't care that the title was kind of dumb. It's just a great continuation of this universe. Anyways.
I didn't think it was awful. I enjoyed it enough too.
It was mistitled without a doubt, and I understand why it pisses some people off, but as somebody that it does not piss off, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I got to see Ahsoka. I got to see Mando. I got to see Fennec Shand. It was great. I don't really care about Boba Fett all that much. And so I think that's why I don't mind that it wasn't so focused on him throughout. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's start theorizing. TJ's toolbox. I love my theories. That's where we're going to keep all of our theories in my toolbox, just like Fury keeps his secrets in his toolbox. So let's dive into it. Garrett, what you brought up is the part that I just am most interested to get into about this, and that's who saved Grogu from Order 66. Are we going to get to see this from Grogu's point of view? Are we going to get to see this from whoever's saving him's point of view? Did he sneak out on his own? What is going down? What's your best guess, Garrett?
I'm going to say, based on the shot that we see in the trailer, that we're going to see it from Grogu's point of view. That's the vibe I'm getting, because it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I guess it's possible with Jedi, the Fallen Order, the video game, that it's possible, you know, that a youngling could escape, I guess, and survive. But I don't think it's a youngling and I know Reva obviously as well, but I don't think it's a youngling that saves Grogu. I think it's very often theorized that that Mace Windu survived. I think the most logical answer, the answer that makes the most sense, is that it's Mace Windu that did survive in some capacity and knew that Grogu was a secret. This is a secret that only the highest of members of the Jedi Council would have known. This isn't something that's floating around, you know, the Jedi Temple with Padawans. So and obviously it'd be cool as hell to get Samuel L. back. We know that I'm pretty sure he said, you know, that he's open to the possibility. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you bring such a massive star back, you know? So I think that's the most logical avenue. And I'm totally okay with that. I would love to see that possibility.
Rich, what about you? Do you have any theories as to how Grogu survived Order 66?
I mean, I love that one. I mean, anything to get Sam Jackson back into Star Wars would be awesome, especially now that he's past the prequel era, you know, now that we're getting this really, really good content on Disney Plus with Mandalorian and everything. I would love to see Sam Jackson come back, especially, I mean, he's already going to hit it big this year with Secret Invasion. So why not double dip a little bit with another season 3 Mando appearance?
Liam Neeson came back too, so
he sure did.
So why not?
No, and seeing it through Grogu's eyes, I think, does make the most sense, because that's the kind of perspective that we saw when Order 66 was last shown. It was through the younglings' perspective, through the people who were experiencing it firsthand, rather than, you know, Anakin or the clones or the Empire or stuff like that. I love that perspective. I think the show should go into that kind of perspective a little more. And especially since we are going back to Coruscant, I think it's kind of a perfect avenue. It's kind of a perfect little segue to get into that kind of story and that perspective. So, no, I'd love to see it through Grogu's eyes. I mean, anything Grogu related is good by me. He's been, you know, pretty much the Disney Plus star since the site went live. So anything Grogu, I'm down for.
Well, I think I want to touch on something. Sorry, TJ. I want to touch on something you said real quick, Rich. I do agree with you. I think that perspective why that perspective is important and hits harder is because it's scarier. We know the fate of the younglings. We watched it firsthand. But if we're watching it from someone who we know is a master or more experienced, we know there's a chance that they could survive. So the stakes aren't as high. But when you're watching it from the point of view of the younglings, we've already seen how that ends. So the stakes right there are immediately just turned up to 12. And so that's why I think that perspective is so important. And I think I would love to see it like that again from Grogu's eyes.
More real, more down to earth. You feel it more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Internet clearly listening to our microphone and our podcast, because I pull up Twitter and I refresh, and the thing at the top of my page is Star Wars GIFs from 3 hours ago, captioned "The Book of Boba Fett," and it's Mandalorian. It's Din, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka walking through the woods. So definitely listening.
That's what they said.
That's exactly what they
heard
said.
us. They were listening.
I am not used to the new soundboard yet. It's gonna startle me every single time we go about this.
I know, and I'm so sneaky too. I haven't told you guys what I've queued up, and it's different. So
oh God, that's funny.
Weirdly enough, I don't have any Order 66 theories, but the stuff that I am most interested in is, I mean, you guys know me. I never remember names, but when Mando and our favorite Republic officer are having that conversation, and he's bringing up how there's an evil coming, and like by the time you're ready to act, it's going to be too late. And to me, this season 3, it feels like we might finally start getting the whispers of Thrawn and some evil out there in the galaxy. Maybe we get introduced to Hera. Maybe we get introduced to Sabine. And there he is, the bad man himself, Thrawn, on Garrett's sweater.
I had a feeling he might be brought up. Had a feeling he might be brought up.
That's where this is leading. Like we obviously know Ahsoka's looking for him, and that's kind of the way this is leaning towards. And I am just so damn excited about that as a Rebels fan.
Yeah, and I know somebody pointed out that Sabine might have been in a quick shot of the trailer. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I mean, I would take her in just about anything. I can't wait for the Ahsoka series. I mean, after their stuff in Rebels together, Ahsoka and Sabine and that crew, that show is quickly rising to the top of my Star Wars list. I think this year is just going to be an awesome year for Star Wars content. I think it'll maybe tip the scales in the favor of the fans, maybe after a couple of down moments last year, outside of obviously Andor, which everybody loved.
Oh, so great.
I mean, I love myself some Ahsoka. She's number 1, but Sabine's number 2. And so as soon as she gets introduced, I am so excited for her to be in this universe, because she's such an incredible character, and I'm very excited to get her in live action. Do we have any other theories, any other points we want to bring up from the Mando trailer, or is it draft time?
I'm just excited for season 3. I think it's draft time.
I'm down for draft time.
Adam, let's get you in here. Let's join the stream. Let's explain the draft. It is time for the Fandom Fun Dome, where we are having a video game project draft tonight. Let me find the chat where I entered the rule. Here we are. We got 4 different rounds, and it's not our simple way we usually do it, where you get to pick whatever whenever you want. We got specific round rules here. Ruben made a absolutely beautiful graphic, because he is the best at what he does in the industry, and we love him. Round 1, games that have already been adapted to a series or movie. This has been inspired by The Last of Us. As it's only 1 episode out, I think we're going to say we're not drafting it. You know, we've only seen the 1. We can't draft based on having seen the full series, because we don't know. For all we know, it could be terrible, even though we've been told by many people who have reviewed it that it's phenomenal.
An argument against that is that one episode of this show is already better than 90% of adaptations that have already happened. So I feel to drop that on us right before is not.
I mean, look, Adam is going to get the first pick because it is his first Agents of Fandom draft.
Well,
ever.
then you are directly fucking him.
And so, look, if I'm
voting back on this, I can't stand this. I've got to push back.
Adam.
I am a benevolent. I'm a benevolent leader, and if I'm overruled, done, no problem. Rich, what do you think?
Should it be
included?
It seems like it's fair game.
It's included. That's 3 against 1. It is.
There we go. You gotta love a live show, right?
You gotta love a live show. Things adapt on the fly. Adam is gonna get the first overall pick, and it's going to go in a snake position.
Coming up here.
I randomized the other 3, and it's gonna go. Adam, Garrett, Rich, TJ. And so we're going to get into it. But anyways, like I was saying, round 1, games and series games that have already been adapted to a series or movie. Round 2, games we would like to see made or are anticipating that. A movie or a project we would like to see made based on a game that either has been announced and we haven't seen yet, or we can pitch it. One that we would like to see created, a game that has never once been adapted yet. Number 3, a TV show we would like to see turned into the game. And number 4, a movie we would like to see adapted into a game. And so those are the 4 rounds. Any questions before we begin?
I guess my only question is, we don't have to draft in that order, right? We can pick whichever.
We do.
We can go whichever we want. Oh,
this has to be has to be done in this order.
We are going in that order. All right, cool.
Yes. Okay. So round 1 is solely projects that have already been created that are adapted from a video game. This can be a series. Okay. This can be a movie. This can be live action. This can be animation.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm up first. This was an easy choice for me. Mostly because this category is just so very slim. I wasn't sure going in whether or not we were gonna have to pick in that order, but this category was gonna be the first pick anyway because, like I said, there's just so few projects to pick from in this pool.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I'm gonna pick the Uncharted movie. No, I'm actually gonna take the first episode of the last of The Last of Us. Like you said, I know we've only got 1 episode to choose from, but I echo what Garrett said earlier. That 1 episode is of such a higher quality than so many of the other video game adaptations that we see. And I've got faith in them to, stay true to the source material and to produce a good show. So that was the easiest pick ever for me in that category. I'm taking The Last of Us off the board.
Absolutely.
Great.
I respect that.
Great show. Pedro Pascal, a phenomenal rendition of Joel Miller. Bella Ramsey is absolutely crushing it as Ellie. The chemistry is fantastic, and I'm very excited to see where this series goes. Garrett, with the number 2 pick, what do you got for us?
Yeah. Okay, so that was on the list, obviously, but it was contingent of getting the number 1 pick because that was obviously always going to be the number 1 pick as long as it was allowed. And like Adam said, this is the obvious thin category that you would have to draft first anyways. So I get to get my number 2 pick. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier before the stream started, but that's going to be Sonic the Hedgehog because I think that's solid. Yeah, I think that's easily one of the strongest Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, are you? No, I'm going Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you picking 1 or 2? I'm picking one. I'm picking one. I'm picking the original because I don't think they improved like that much. I think they're both good. And I think that comparatively to all the other choices, there's not many that stack up. So Sonic the Hedgehog. You're welcome, TJ.
Bold move, Cotton. We will see if it pays off. 2 great movies, but I do think the addition of Idris Elba as Knuckles and getting Tails in there made that second one a lot more fun. Rich, pick 3. What do you got for us?
And quick comment on Sonic. I love both. Just watched the second one actually right before we went on. Still holds up. Love it. Jim Carrey. needs to be in more stuff. I love that guy. Anyway, so my third pick, I honestly was thinking about maybe taking Sonic 2, but I'm going to switch things up a little bit just to keep a little bit of variety in there. And one of my favorite games growing up in games and TV series was the Pokemon series. So I'm going to go in the Pokemon direction with 2019's Detective Pikachu. I think that was just a great. I think that was a great adaptation. They pretty much did the perfect rendition of what Pokemon would look like in real life. I love how they did the animation for all the characters. Ryan Reynolds killed it as Pikachu. I mean, he was absolutely hysterical. Everybody in that movie was great. Catherine Newton's in it. I got to shout her out with Ant-Man 3 coming up. And it was just a really, really fun adaptation. It was hilarious. It captured the essence of what Pokemon is, got Mewtwo in there, you know, from way back in our childhoods growing up with the series. And I just really enjoyed that movie. It's one of the better tier video game movies that we've had in a long time. And I'm all for it. I hope they maybe make another movie like that someday or something along the lines of live action Pokemon. So I'm going to go Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu selected with the number 3 overall pick, Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. That movie was a lot of fun. Do you guys mind? I don't know what mood everyone is in. I don't want to piss everybody off, but do you guys mind if I talk my shit?
Go for it.
So for the first 3 picks, we have first overall a show that has 1 episode out. Number 2, a movie selected where the sequel is better than the first one. And number 3, an adaptation about Pokemon. You guys are all overthinking this. You guys are all overthinking this, and let me tell you why.
Oh boy.
On November 11th, 2022 was a very momentous occasion. It was a very important day because after 25 years, after 25 long years, after uniting with his Pikachu, Ash Ketchum became the world champion. And guess what? The first Pokemon project that was ever put out, it was a video game. And so I will not take Detective Pikachu already off the board, but I'm going to take Pokemon, the anime, which is an animated series adaptation off of a video game, one of the most beloved animated projects of all time, the most beloved anime of all time. It brought us some of the very best video games in all the Game Boy games and now on Nintendo Switch, and I'm going to go with Pokemon, the anime, as my first round pick.
Fatality.
You know what? I respect that. I can't be mad at that.
You gave me a heart attack when you started talking about Pokemon because I didn't have too many ideas for this category. But getting Pokemon the anime off the board, it was such a important part of my childhood. Like, I spent days watching this. I remember crying so many sad tears when Ash tried to, shout out to those who watch New Girl, when Ash tried to White Fang Pikachu because he saw Pikachu living with all the other Pikachus and he was happy. So he tried to say, go on, get out of here. And he tried to leave him and Pikachu sprinted after him and I was bawling. Obviously in Pokemon, the first movie, when Ash turns to stone and all the Pokemon bring him back to life with his tears, it's an absolute classic. And so, yeah, I'm going with Pokemon. Round 2, a project we would like to see made, adapted from a video game that either has not been announced, has been announced, but it's not out yet. I have 2 in mind, but with all of the Star Wars we've been talking, I think I have to go with this one, and I'm going to go with a live action spin-off from Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survive and go with a live action Cal Kestis Star Wars project.
Very nicely done.
Good one. Like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you very much. Rich, it's your turn, my man.
All right. So that actually eases things up for me because I was really torn between 2. But I am going to go with one that has me wildly excited. I did not get to pick it in our direct draft that we did for movies a couple weeks ago. Shout out the direct podcast. But I am going to get to pick it here. I am going the Super Mario Brothers movie. It is coming out in about 2 months, and I am so hyped for it. This game has been around for the vast majority of our lifetimes, probably longer than all of us have been alive. And we finally get a great Mario movie on the big screen in animated form. The voice cast is awesome. I don't know if we want to go like a roundtable who we're most excited for. Jack Black as Bowser has me so hyped. And I can't wait to see the rest of it. The animation looks awesome. The story looks fun. And we're getting a Super Mario Brothers movie with the music and the visuals and Mushroom Cloud Land, the racing, everything. So I can't wait for it. I'm going to be there probably opening night. I'm going to Super Mario Brothers movie.
Interesting that you mentioned a lot of stuff, but the one thing that you didn't mention was Mario's voice. And I think in the little bit that we've seen, it is not up to par. So while everything else you mentioned, I think is fantastic, I am not excited for Chris Pratt as Mario. And that takes a lot of it out of it for me because that is the obviously main focus of it. So
I think all I'll say is I don't love it, but I don't think I hate it. So I'm keeping an open mind and just hoping that it doesn't take away too much from the movie.
Good luck with that. I hope you're right.
I know.
I want to love it.
Me too. I really want to. I hope I'm right.
Rich, I'm with you as well that Jack Black is Bowser. I think it's the thing I'm most excited for. Jack Black is anything gets me excited. Yes. A movie that got turned into a game, which is obviously our final category, Jumanji. This already happened. It was a movie first and a game second back in 1995, but the remakes with Jack Black as Bethany, I think he's probably my favorite parts of those. So shout out to Jack Black. He's awesome. Round 2, pick 3. Garrett, it is your selection, my friend.
Wow. So I'm at a spot where I didn't think I would be. I have 5 projects on my short list, and not a single one of them is off the board. So I don't know what to do here. I guess I go with my number 1, which is what my heart says, and it's what everyone who knows me is going to expect of me. But I don't know. I got a sleeper pick that I think I'm kind of excited for as well. And I might just toss Adam a dandy here since it's his first draft, because I know that he also would want to pick what I'm about to pass up on. So that's what we're going to do, because fuck it. All right.
We'll do it live.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So this has been announced, and it is a game that I love. I have a lot of memories with a really good friend of mine. We used to play it co-op together. And it's batshit crazy, which I love. And I think that they're going to do a great job of making it batshit crazy. And I think the cast is sick. I know there's been some behind the scenes stuff that happened, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to go with the Borderlands movie adaptation. I'm fucking hyped for that. That series is crazy. It's very comic book in a video game to me. I love the style. I love the aesthetics. And I think that that adaptation is going to kick ass. So I'm going to pass up on what I hope to God Adam picks next. And I'm going to take the Borderlands adaptation.
Adam was snapped out of the screen by Thanos, and we're hoping to have him back at full strength before we have to go up against Kang. But Adam, going up against the internet, going up against Rich, Garrett, and I, you're taking down the last pick of the second round. Who do you got for us?
Well, Garrett, I've got to say I really appreciate the lob that you just sent me. I can't tell you what that means, but the thing I'm afraid of most in life is let you down. But I got to say that was not – God of War was not my top pick. This was as soon as you sent us categories – this was a no-brainer for me, and I didn't think any of you were going to take it. This is a game, I believe it came out in 2018.
I know what you're going to say. That's on my short list, too.
and I've probably played it all the way through 3 to 4 times. It's a long game. I think anytime you play it all the way through and you really immerse yourself in it, it's probably over 100 hours. But my pick is Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's for a couple of reasons. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best narrative story that has ever been told in a video game. I don't believe I've ever played a game all the way through and cried and felt such an emotional attachment to these characters, and the voice acting and everything was so well done. For those of you that have played it, you'll understand and you will agree with this pick. And those of you that haven't, I really, really hope that you get a chance to play it one day, because I really think that this is the best narrative story that has ever been told in a video game. It's just an emotional ride. The characters are so well like fleshed out, and because the game is so long, it benefits from this, but they get a chance to tell a really, really meaningful story for like 10 to 12 people that feels so personal to each one of them. And I know that would be hard to do in a TV show, but I think if you give, HBO 4 to 5 seasons, 10 episodes each season, I think you could do a really, really good job. So that was a very easy pick for me. I'm taking Red Dead Redemption 2.
Wow.
That is a very good choice, because that is one of the games out there that people love for the story, not just the gameplay. Very similar to The Last of Us. Shout out Roger Clark, the voice of Arthur Morgan, who is just such an unbelievably kind person. Got the chance to meet and interview him at the Saskatoon Expo, one of the very first Agents of Fandom Expo interviews we ever got to do. So you can find that up on our YouTube page, and make sure to check it out. Red Dead Redemption, great game. And potentially one day a great adaptation if Adam gets his will. My friend, you're back running it back here with a TV show we'd like to see turn into a game. Couple of honorable mentions I want to get in. Obviously, we shouted out God of War. Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out looks very, very good, and I'm very excited to watch that one. And then one more that I just think it's crazy that hasn't been turned into anything yet is The Legend of Zelda. I just really feel like Link and Zelda deserve a story to be told in a TV adaptation.
That was on my short list.
I also have Gears of War and Ghost of Tsushima.
Those were the exact two that I had left on my list. Yep.
Great minds think alike.
I want to shout out the PS4 Spider-Man series. I know we've gotten a ton of Spider-Man movies and everything, but the original PS4 Spider-Man game might be one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of all time. The Miles Morales game was really good, and I cannot wait for number 2 coming out later this year.
I echo that to a T. I'm so pumped for that. I cannot wait.
Yeah. How you feel about Red Dead Redemption 2, I feel about the original Spider-Man game.
That's awesome. Okay. I feel the same way too, man. I love that game so much. I've
played the
original Spider-Man through 10 times, man. I love it.
But I have the Spider-Man PS4. So I have like the red PS4 with like the white logo on it. It's sick, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Adam, first pick in the third round. Take us away.
Oh man. I was really hoping that I didn't have the first pick. When we got to this round, I wouldn't have the first pick, because I had a few. There was like 4 to 5 on my list here, and I saw Damon streams. Let's give him a shout out. He just joined the stream a few minutes ago, and I think he's gonna like this pick. And the show that I would like to see turned into a movie, or the game that I would like to see. The show that I would like to see turned into a game.
It's hard. I've messed that up 3-4 times already. This is hard.
But for me, without question, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think there's a way that you can do one of these games that would be so unique. And TJ, you were talking about Fallen Order earlier. One of the things that I drew a comparison when I was making this pick and thinking about it. When you play through Fallen Order, as you learn these new skills and you would rest, that message pops up screen. Cal has healed his connection with the Force. And then you have all these new skills to lock. And I think if you play through an Avatar game and you do an Avatar game right, you can experience something like that, but on a much, much larger scale in terms of learning all of the elements. And you could even maybe you can choose which element, your Avatar starts as. I know that would require it, but I think the most important thing for something like that would be to tell a good story. So I think if you have the option to tell a good story, you're probably not going to get the same option to choose which Bender you start with. We don't want another the Avengers, Marvel Avengers game where you're going to have 5 or 4 different Benders running around in the same place, causing a big mess. But for me, I think there's a way that you could do an Avatar: The Last Airbender game and that it would just come out flawlessly. So that's my pick. That was easy for me.
The way that I would pitch it, honestly, would be so similar to how they did the Witcher games, which, if I'm not mistaken, has a very similar feel to Red Dead Redemption in a lot of ways. I haven't played RDR, but I've had somebody compare those two to me before. I don't know if it's true, but just kind of like that open world, very story specific game. You make different choices and it gives different consequences. I like it. It's a solid pick. I think it's a very good pick. For the first overall in the third round. I think it's very worthy. Garrett, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. It's a lot better than what mine's going to be. So take that for what you will. Yeah, I was a little bit, my notes are a little bit light on this category. So I'm going to rip an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. game because we're Agents of Fandom. We love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The brand is based off Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And also I feel like it's just gonna piss Adam off a little bit, and that's okay with me.
We love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You said it best, man. We love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So yeah, I
in the chat for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. But since we were talking about the Spider-Man game a little bit earlier, I feel like we got to have a little bit of like that puzzle aspect that it has, like expand on that a little bit, but have little puzzles like that for Gemma, for Fitz and Simmons. I want you to be able to play as the entire team and just have some cool missions. Really just want it to be nostalgic, and yeah. Oh man, I would do some damage as Quake. I'll say that.
Oh hell yeah, I love it. It's a great pick. We all love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here at the Agents of Fandom. Rich, third pick in the third round. What do you got for us?
And I'll add on to that. I would totally play an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. game. It's funny. The people at the direct are a little mixed on it, but I am a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. There's a few seasons that stand out for me. I'm all in on that show. I would kill for an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. game.
You got great taste, Rich. Great taste.
Thank you. So my next pick is, I've been debating between a couple. This is actually a really tough category for me. I'm thinking two different ones in my head right now, and I'll maybe do my honorable pick later. I think I'm going to actually switch it up on the fly real quick because of Garrett. There was one that I was going to go on the superhero round, but I think I'm just going to go with one of my favorite TV shows running right now. We actually just got the first pick of it yesterday. I am going to go a Ted Lasso video game. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big NBA 2K guy. Make it kind of like the FIFA games, but throw in some Ted Lasso and Roy Kent personality into that. And honestly, you're probably not even going to be able to play the game because you're just going to be laughing so hard mostly the entire time. I know it's going to be a ridiculous choice, and I accept that. I accept that it's a ridiculous choice, but I am going to go for it. I'm going to go for a Ted Lasso video game. Apple TV, Jason Sudeikis, Brett Goldstein, hear me on this. Get it done.
Take EA and FIFA down.
Smells like potential.
That's awesome.
I am going to go with a mystery game. Very story focused, little bit, not fully open world, but a bit of an open world element where you don't necessarily have to pick one mystery to latch onto. You can choose a variety of different ones. You can fight train with your family. You can sword fight and practice fencing. You can learn explosives and poisonous variations and mixtures with your uncle. You can get life advice from your mother, and you can test explosives on your brother. It's a Wednesday Addams video game. And so it's very mystery focused. Lots of very detective, looking for clues along the way, having to piece different puzzles together. And that's what I'm going with for my TV show here. And I'm actually going to run it back with another mystery puzzle box for my final pick. and I'm going to go with a Knives Out video game. And now this isn't going to be a same open world type scenario. This is going to be very distinct scenarios, which you have to choose. And you can't get to the more difficult one until you complete the last one. And it's basically a virtual escape room, but murder mystery. And you are Benoit Blanc, and you are solving mysteries as you go.
Oh, that's going to make me have to pivot, but that's a great pick.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I had the Knives Out one locked, and I was worried, maybe like thinking, should I pick something else other than a Wednesday game, because I'm also doing mystery for Knives Out. But I want the Wednesday one to be sort of open world-esque, where you can do lots of different things. And then the Knives Out one, very puzzle box focused, very specified.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
It's your pick here, Rich. You're the second pick of the final round.
All right. So it's a movie that we want to see made into a video game. This is a really tough one for me because, you know what? I think I am just going to go. I'm going to go with my heart on this one. I don't know how well it's going to play me in the polls, but anybody who knows me knows I'm an MCU diehard. And I've been dying to see. This is actually just one that I've been dying to see for a long time. I want a good MCU Avengers game because we got the PS4 Avengers game like 2-3 years ago that just really didn't do the job very well, to be perfectly honest. And I think now that the MCU is so deep with characters and storylines, you don't even necessarily have to limit it to the Avengers movies. You could, throw in little side quests for all the different characters we've seen in, phase 4, what we're going to see in phase 5. We could do like the mystery of Secret Invasion stuff, do some Daredevil fighting, have the Avengers take on Thanos. You can make it a co-op game, throw in a bunch of people that you want to team up with and pick a bunch of different Avengers to fight the MCU's biggest bad guys.
Now you're just describing Ultimate Alliance 3.
Well, fine, fair enough. But no, that's really what I want is like a good MCU Avengers video game. I've been dying for that since the movies came out because I was always one to like buy the video game adaptations, especially of superhero movies. Like I played the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man games growing up. Those are what I lived on. And I've always wanted that from the MCU when you haven't really gotten it. So that's what I'm pulling for.
Go and do what they do with Star Wars with the Fallen Order games. Make it canon. Like, make it a specific scenario. Don't have it be like, don't try and go too big with all this like online stuff and things like that. Have it be a specific story you play and have that story be canon in the MCU.
Like in between the movies. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I like it. I think it's a great pick. Obviously, Garrett has a little bit of PTSD when he hears Avengers game because of the turmoil the last one put him through. And I get it. I'm still waiting for Damon to pay me back $20 because I repurchased it for my PlayStation after already having it for my Xbox because he asked me to play, and we still haven't played. Garrett, what's your pick?
Oh, called out. Oof.
All right. Well, I agree with what you guys are saying about the making it canon, and I think that could have been a cool route with something like the Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out a couple years ago, whatever year it was now. But I really enjoyed that game. It had a super awesome story, and so I'm gonna base this pick off that, and I'm going to do. It's gonna be a Multiverse of Madness game. Very contained story game like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, but we're essentially going to redo it. It's going to be scarier. Wanda's going to be chasing us through the different multiverses. America Chavez is going to be powered up. Shout out Carlos. He's going to love that. She's going to be able to transport us through different multiverses. We're going to see more multiverses. There's going to be an extended Illuminati. We're going to tussle with the Illuminati more than what happened in the movie. They're not just going to get wrecked by Wanda, but we're going to see a lot of Wandas. She's going to be dream walking everywhere, and she's going to be crazy in all those multiverses. So I think a multiverse of madness style game in the style of the Guardians of the Galaxy game that just recently came out would be a banger.
I should have banned Marvel projects just because there's already so many video games of those out, and I feel like it's an easy cop out.
Yeah, well, you
right.
took
These
my
are two
pick,
great
so
ideas,
I had
and
to
they're two
pivot.
games that I would absolutely play. Let's throw it to no microtransactions. Ruben slips into.
To be fair, I only had one Marvel game on my entire board, and I could have done that a lot differently. So,
last pick of the draft, Adam. What do you got for us? Battling his internet. Who are the villains you're gonna battle in your video game?
Let's see. Yeah, even though you guys can't see me, I think I've got a pick. I'm really excited. This popped into my head a couple of days after you sent me the list. This is a movie series. Already has a trilogy, and the trilogy has a fourth movie coming out later this year, actually. And my movie that I would like to see turned into a game is a John Wick movie, and I'll pitch it to you. The first John Wick picks up when he's already retired. So there's this whole entire market full of untapped stories. Pick up with a young John Wick, maybe pretty quick after he's gotten into this whole business, and the gameplay could be this Uncharted mixed with a Hitman type thing. You know, in Hitman, you're assigned these different missions, you go to these different places, you've got all these extravagant different ways that you can take out your target. But like ultimately, if you get into a fight, all these different things. And then, you know, Uncharted's got all this great like hand-to-hand combat and all this other stuff. And I think a John Wick game that picks up really, really early in his career that tells all these stories of different assignments, you know, including Winston and everybody else from the movies, you know, younger versions of these characters. I think that would kill. So I'm taking John Wick's that I would like to see turn into a video game.
I like that pick. And fun fact, Hitman was on my short list for the first category. So
I'd like to point out that literally this does exist. It's called John Wick
game
Hex.
Exists?
It's called John Wick Hex. It came out in 2019. It's a tactical role-playing game, and it's set as a narrative prequel to the John Wick movies.
Oh, yikes, man. Yikes.
What is that? What platform is that out on?
Xbox One and Nintendo Switch.
God, they must.
That calls
and PS4. And
that
PS4.
calls for one of these.
Fatality.
They must have really not marketed that game at all, or it must have been awful because I feel like I heard nothing about that.
I don't think I did either.
So do I have to change picks now? Do I have to switch it up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta throw us another one.
Absolutely.
It won the Game Critic Award Best Strategy Game in 2019.
Holy cow. It was a strategy game. Is this, I don't know. Is this something like Halo Reach where you don't actually get to do anything? You just get to choose, like, you know, control a larger group? Oh, man. That really messed me up. Oh, I'm gonna pick
Live shows, baby.
I know. I'm really, really glad you didn't get that no Marvel takes off earlier because the second one on my list was a Black Panther game. And you know, I know we got a little bit of a Black Panther adaptation in Marvel's Avengers, you know, if you want to call it that. I didn't really enjoy anything about that game. So I hate to keep bringing it up, but I think that you could do like, you know, that you could do a Black Panther game really similar to the Spider-Man games. You know, it's in Wakanda, like the Spider-Man games are set in New York. And, you know, we've got a Logan game coming out, a Wolverine game. That also would have been a pretty good. I'm just thinking about now. But I think that a Black Panther game that's like tells a really, really, really good narrative story, but also focuses on good hand-to-hand combat with.
I'm pretty sure there's a Black Panther and Winter Soldier game coming. Actually, I think it's a Black Panther Winter Soldier game.
I feel like I remember hearing something about this too.
Yeah,
that's fine.
No, it's the Black Panther Captain America. It's a Black Panther Captain America game, and it's set in like the 40s and the 50s. This would just be a solo Black Panther game set in Wakanda. You know, telling maybe you know. So yeah, you get all kinds of upgrades for the suit, different go on these different missions. You know, combat vibranium stuff like that. Since apparently there's a John Wick game out there that, that exists and nobody ever talks about or ever plays or has ever been mentioned in any conversation ever. I'll rotate and pick Black Panther.
You can almost make it like a John Wick or like a James Bond kind of thing with Panther, go on like spy missions and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything after Wakanda is like anything outside of Wakanda is like a spy mission. I like it.
Ooh, yeah.
There could be a lot of fun, just even like alone based on people trying to invade Wakanda, stealth missions outside of Wakanda, get a little plot for Killmonger, something like that, trying to steal the throne from the inside in there, something like that. I think that could be a lot of fun. Emma in chat says her partner Chris says the John Wick game is trash. Ryan was pointing out as well. Yeah, it's a Black Panther and Captain America World War II game. That does sound like a lot of fun. He also pitched a Quiet Place game, but they are in fact in the middle of making that right now. Let's quickly recap our picks. I'll go first. In the first round, I picked my favorite video game adaptation is the Pokemon anime series. The video game I'd like to see adapted into a project would be a Jedi Fallen Order Cal Kestis project. A series I'd like to see turned into a game would be a Wednesday mystery game where she plays detective and has to go through a year of school while solving various mysteries. And then finally, a Knives Out puzzle box game. Rich, I'm going to throw it to you next. Give me your picks.
All right, so mine is a very interesting team. I picked Detective Pikachu, the movie with Ryan Reynolds, Catherine Newton, the Super Mario Brothers movie coming out in March with Chris Pratt, Anna Joy, Taylor-Joy, Jack Black, pretty much everybody, Charlie Day. It's going to be awesome. The Ted Lasso video game for a TV series I want to see made into a game, and an actual good Avengers game. I absolutely love the caption there. Spend $300 on the last one. I want my money back. I think that might be my favorite visual I have ever seen associated with me. Thank you so much for that. But to recap it quickly, just a good MCU Avengers video game. Thank you for that, Ruben. I love you, buddy.
Very well done. Very well done. Garrett, hit us with your picks.
Yes. I'm going to hit you with my picks quickly, and I'm going to hit you with a couple of honorable mentions. My picks quickly are Sonic, game adapted to movie that is a game adaptation that is announced, Borderlands, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show turned into a game, and then Multiverse of Madness movie adapted into a game. A couple honorable mentions for me would be a Batman Beyond game. That's something I need. Something that was teased at the end of the Arkham games, and we never got, and I will forever hate that.
I forever hate that I didn't pick that. That's a great idea.
I know. And then in movies, an Edge of Tomorrow endless horde shooting game that culminates in an unbeatable boss, kind of like a very Elden Ring style, like hard game. And you can just die over and over and respawn because that is the point of the movie. So I feel like that could be a pretty solid adaptation there. All right. One
honorable mention I have. I want a Daredevil game. I want a Daredevil game so badly. I don't know how you do it with the vision thing.
Black screen.
You could go black screen. Just go really interesting with it. Kind of maybe you can do like his supersonic vision, or I don't know what he calls it. Like the way they did it actually in the original Ben Affleck movie. Ironically enough, the way he sees in that.
Never thought I'd hear those words.
I know. That's about the only time I will ever bring up that movie. But like I keep saying, we needed those movies to get to where we are now. But that's my honorable mention.
I love it. Adam, your very first Agents of Fandom draft, I think you did a great job. Remind us of your picks.
All right. Well, let's see. In my game that has been adapted into a series already, I picked The Last of Us. And the game that I would like to see adapted into a series in the future was Red Dead Redemption 2. A TV show that I would like to see turned into a video game was Avatar: The Last Airbender. And a movie that I would like to see turned into a video game was Black Panther. And I also have a few honorable mentions. Rich, you hit one of them. Daredevil was an honorable mention that I had. And there's two more of the shows that turn into a games. And we'll get a double shout out to Layla on this one, because I think a Mandalorian and a Moon Knight game would absolutely kick ass.
Yes, and yes.
I think they would.
I was choosing between
those
a
are the two
Mandalorian
honorable mentions.
game and a Wednesday game. I think that's a great shout out, Adam, because those were my two choices. I'm still pissed off I didn't think about Batman Beyond, but I was torn between Mando and Wednesday, and I decided to go Wednesday just because I already had another Star Wars project on there. But I think that's a great pick. We have 4 great teams, so make sure you head over to the Agents of Fandom socials and vote on those, because we're going to be getting those out this weekend. And make sure you're following the Agents of Fandom there as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. And you can find all the shows on the Agents of Fandom podcast network, including the Agents of Fandom podcast, anywhere you get your pods: Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, YouTube, all those places. Fandom Academy, Ticket to Reality, The Critics, Listen 3000, and of course us. Head over to agentsofandom.com and click the store button, or just head to aofandom.com and get yourself a nice Agents of Fandom hoodie, t-shirt, beanie, socks, hat, whatever you want. We got it up there. We got some really great stuff, so make sure you check it out. And we're going to be back next week talking about some more Bad Batch and whatever else big breaking news pops up. And we got a lot of fun interviews coming up in these next few weeks as well, for Ticket to Reality, for Agents of Fandom, for Fandom Academy. So make sure you stay tuned to the YouTube page. Adam, you crushed it. Garrett, you crushed it. Rich, my friend, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a blast to have you on here. We're big fans of you guys over at The Direct. And take a look at all of our stuff over at thedirect.com. I'm at Richard Nebens on Twitter. I am sure you'll see me again here before too long. Garrett and TJ are two of my best friends in this industry. It was great meeting you too, Adam. You are awesome. And no, we love you guys. We're big supporters of Agents of Fandom.
We love you guys too, man. We love you guys. We have post notifications on for everything. We try to give you guys the backlinks when we can. So it is definitely mutual, brother.
And before we get out of here for our final segment, I was going to cut it because I was thinking we didn't have enough time because we're going a little overtime. But Rich picked a Ted Lasso video game, and so I feel like I can't skip this segment. It was brought up in Ted Lasso how Suzanne Simard, a Canadian researcher at UBC, she brought up how trees, they don't compete for light. And this is what Coach Beard taught us, somebody else with a great beard like our man Rich here. Trees don't compete for light. They learned that they can all grow up high together with the sun coming down on all of them. They don't have to steal light from the other ones. They can all grow and they can all win together. And so we like to give a spotlight in our Simard Spotlight section on someone in the industry who does great work. And Rich, there's quite literally no one in the entire industry of everything that we do that can put out as quick and of high quality articles for news that you can. You got that combo unlocked. You put multiple ones out a day. They're high quality. They're immediate. It's wildly impressive. How do you do it? What are some of the ones you got up right now, and what are some of the ones you got coming?
I mean, thank you guys so much. It means the world to me hearing that come from you guys, and with how good a job you guys do. I mean, this is just what I've been doing for the last few years. It's just, repetition. I try to keep up to date on, everything I possibly can in the fandom. I mean, at the Direct, we largely focus on Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and video games, but we have been expanding our reaches into other parts of the movie world. I've done a few Indiana Jones articles recently. We've been really doing a lot of Avatar 2 stuff.
That's awesome.
One of my big ones I just posted today was the first set photo from Agatha Coven of Chaos. I think it may have already been taken down by the snipers at Marvel Security. That was pretty fun. Nothing really too big in the works right now, but we always have stuff coming up. I've always got stuff on my mind that I'm working on. I wrote a big feature recently on characters we could see in Avengers Secret Wars, which, I mean, that's going to be a few years away, but I can't wait for that movie. We've got Kang stuff coming with Ant-Man 3. We've got a huge year for Marvel. DC is going to be really, really interesting with James Gunn takeover. And no, it's going to be a really big 2023, and I can't wait to keep doing what I'm doing, seeing where I can expand my reaches into bigger and better parts of the movie universe. It's going to be a good one.
Love the sound of that.
Make sure you follow Rich on all the socials, Richard Nebens. And speaking of expanding into different areas of fandom, just like the Direct has been doing, we've been doing that too over at agentsoffandom.com. You can check out the last couple of Agents of Change articles we've put out where we're diving into sports. Adam, who you just saw doing the draft, gave a phenomenal article about Cam Hayward and all the great work he's done in the community. And Agent Jade as well just put out an article on not only the recovery of Damar Hamlin and the Buffalo Bills safety who suffered cardiac arrest on the field, but how he's a superhero off the field and all the amazing work he does in his community with his foundation and elsewhere. So make sure you check both of those out on agentsoffandom.com/change. That'll do it for this edition of the Agents of Fandom podcast. My name is TJ Zworich. On behalf of Gareth, Adam, Ruben, and our amazing guest, Rich, we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
See ya.